Hi everyone, how are you? My name is Federico Sucre and I'm an admission fellow here in the admission office at Amherst College. Um, Admission fellow means that I went to Amherst and I graduated here in May, and they hire every year one or two admission fellows to help to work full time in the admission office. So I was a student here for the last 4 years. So if you have any questions about what it means to be a student, there's going to be a little section where you can post your questions and we can then answer them. We are going to be giving you basically a lot of information about Amherst, and we will try to answer your questions as we go along, but we can also answer questions at the end. So feel free to ask any questions at any point. And here with me is Melissa.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Melissa. I am a current senior at Amherst, majoring in law, jurisprudence, and social thought. That's actually one major, in short, LJST. I also considered the economics major, and I'm pretty far along in that as well. So if you had any questions about economics, I can speak to that as well. I'm originally from Shanghai, China, where I went to an international high school and middle school abroad. And on campus now, I am a tour guide. I was heavily involved as a coxswain in the rowing team. I've done some research in my major department in the death penalty area. And I've tried a lot of new things that I never thought I would do here at Amherst, like join Amherst Dance and learn yoga and rock climb with the outing club, fun things like that.
So, and during my time here as a student in the last 4 years, I was a political science, French, and interdisciplinary triple major. Amherst gives you the option of creating your own major if that's something you want to do. You can do it as a substitute to all the 37 majors that we offer, or you can also do it along with another major as a double or triple major. So that's what I did. I wanted to write a thesis on Venezuelan poetry and politics because that's where I'm from originally. I was born and raised in Caracas, Venezuela. So poetry and politics were two passions that I had, and I wanted to combine them in one final project during my senior year, and that's what I did. Amherst not only supported my idea, but they also gave me funding to work on my thesis all along my senior year. So it was one of my best experiences as a student here. I was also a soccer player in the varsity soccer team during my 4 years. I was a Spanish tutor. I was a resident counselor during my sophomore year. Each dorm has a resident counselor. It's basically a student who's an upperclassman, and they are like a friend, mentor that you can just go to if you need help, if you need to talk to someone, and especially in freshman dorms, the RCs have play a big role in being a role model for first year students. So that's a little bit what I did during my time here. If you have any questions on any of that or what Melissa did during her time here, feel free to post any questions and we can answer them. So we'll take you along with the PowerPoint presentation that you'll see on the screen, and yeah, we'll speak for maybe 30-40 minutes about what Amherst is all about, and hopefully share some personal experiences as well. So let's see here. So as you may know, Amherst is a small liberal arts college. Liberal arts essentially means that we offer a wide range of majors. We want to offer you the opportunity to take many courses in many different disciplines so that you can hopefully explore new areas of study that you didn't have exposure to when you were in high school, or hopefully decide that you want to do one thing as opposed to another thing, and hopefully discover new passions, new talents, new skills that you may have never been exposed to before. So we have majors in the humanities and social sciences and natural sciences, math, computer science, languages, a lot of different things. And Amherst will certainly offer you opportunities to grow and explore a lot of different things.
Yeah, I definitely feel like students here, most of them come undecided. I definitely entered thinking I'd be a science major and took some classes my first semester here in the humanities and just realized, wow, I really like these classes. And so I dabbled into subjects like philosophy and eventually found LJST. even though I had really no idea what those subjects would be like and where they would lead me to coming in as a first year student.
Yeah, and so Amherst doesn't offer any pre-professional programs, so we don't have engineering or business or nursing or physical therapy, anything that's um, really a career already. We, as I said, have majors ranging in a lot of different disciplines, and it's giving you a well-rounded education so that later on in your life you can decide what you want to do as a career. So actually about 75% of the students who come to Amherst pursue graduate studies after they graduate from Amherst. So, eventually in life you do want to get something a little more specific. Um, in general, liberal arts colleges have small classes. At Amherst, the average class size is 16. So I had one or two classes that were more than 50 students. I had one big LJST course that was 100 students, that a lot of people who are interested in political science and the social sciences in general take, because it has to do with law and law in society. And I took another course in political science that was about 60 students, but then all my other courses were fewer than 30 students. And so you get a very personalized education with professors who are actually experts in whatever they teach. Classes are normally seminar style, so you sit around a table with the professor, and yeah, you're just talking the whole time and discussing and having different arguments. And your opinion has a lot of weight here. You're not just one more student. You are, an individual whose opinion is really valued when you come to Amherst.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of going to a liberal arts college is all our classes are taught by professors with PhDs. We don't have any graduate students at Amherst, so no classes are taught by any of those graduate students. And all our professors are expected to do the same type of research. They're definitely qualified to do the same type of research as anyone at a larger university, any professor there. And so the great thing about that is that for those professors' research projects, they're going to need students to help them with their research, whether it's in the humanities or in the sciences. And so we get opportunities to participate at the undergraduate level and even as early as our first year here. Specifically, I worked with a professor in the LJST department who specialized in death penalty research. And so I spent a summer on campus helping him write a paper. Actually, it was really student-led project where we wrote a paper looking at scenes of executions in fictional death penalty film and kind of applying that to see how that translates into how we experience and think about death penalty in the real world. And that's an opportunity that I got as a sophomore here, and we're actually getting published shortly in the Law and Social Inquiry. So I got that opportunity as an undergrad.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also worked with a couple of professors during my time here, one in Spanish and one in political science. The political science professor I worked with was writing a book on U.S.-Venezuela relations, foreign policy and all that. So he asked me to do a lot of research on Latin American politics, and specifically the view of Latin American countries of the Venezuelan regime in the last 15 years. So he ended up using part of my research to write a 20-page chapter in his book, and he published the book earlier this year, and he's actually using that book now for one of the courses that he's teaching. So I did get that first-hand experience with an expert in their area, and that I don't think that you would get that experience as an undergraduate student at a big university, because you would have to share time with basically with the grad students. So liberal arts colleges normally have a small student population. Amherst only has 1,800 students. So it makes it a very tight community. People are very close to one another, not only students, but also students and faculty members and staff members. So, it's a very, very nice sense of community. We are also in Western Massachusetts. People think that we're in the middle of nowhere, but that's not true. Later on, we're going to talk to you about the 5 College Consortium, which is an alliance of 5 schools that are all within 10 miles from one another. So there are actually a lot of students, young people in this area, and there's a very vibrant, dynamic community, and people wanting to do things all the time. We have a lot of different activities here, from a cappella groups to the orchestra to debate team, club teams, and varsity teams as well. So, art opportunities in the arts and music and theater and anything that you want to do really. I always say that Amherst is a place of opportunity. If there's something that you want to do that is already there, it's easy. You can just go ahead and do it. But if there's something that is not already there, you can be the first person to create that, that club or that major or that course. And I'll let Melissa talk about the club teams on campus.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the reasons that I chose to come to a school like Amherst, is I just felt that it was so much, there were so many more possibilities to really get involved in the community. I came to Amherst as a first year student not knowing what crew was, not knowing really how rowing worked as a sport, and someone just kind of looked at me and was like, hey, you look like you would be a perfect coxswain for our crew team. And so I tried it out and I fell in love with the sport, and I was able to kind of join just a club team here on campus, having no experience in high school or anything like that in the past.
So yeah, a lot of people are involved in sports at Amherst. There are varsity sports, and people have, I think it's a misconception that varsity sports are, the only ones who take, or varsity athletes are the only ones who take their sport seriously, and that's definitely not the case. I was a varsity athlete. I played soccer here, but every time we would go on the field, the frisbee team and the rugby team would already be out in the field training, and we would practice for like an hour and a half, and those teams would practice for like 2 hours. And they also played in the fall, so during our soccer season, but also in the spring. So they ended up playing more rugby and more frisbee than we did. And I think it's similar to the crew team as well. They have a fall season and then a spring season. So even if you don't play a varsity sport, Amherst gives you the opportunity to do a club sport at a very, very high competitive level. We just got a question. Someone is asking if Amherst has a rugby club. And yes, we definitely have a club team that's the rugby team, and they, as I said, they train really, really hard. They play a lot of games in the fall and especially in the spring. So yeah, they take their sport very, very seriously. So let's talk about diversity at Amherst. Amherst is one of the most diverse campus, I think, among the liberal arts schools in the U.S. We have, even though we only have 10% of international students, I was one of them during my time as a student here. We have people from 50 plus countries, 48 different states in the U.S. And beyond where people come geographically, we have diversity in so many other ways. Racial diversity and culture and religion and ethnicity and socioeconomic background. And we really pride ourselves in that. It's been a transition, especially in the last 15, 20 years. Amherst has become an extremely diverse campus. And, hopefully you can look at our website, and if you can make it to Amherst, that would be even better. You can see it for yourself. It's not just us telling you that Amherst is very diverse. It's the truth. That's the case. That's actually how it is. We have 60% of our student population coming from public schools and 40% coming from private schools. But again, beyond that diversity factor, we have diversity in so many other ways. And I think the main reason that allows us to have such a diverse campus is our financial aid policy. We have a very, very generous financial aid package. We are need blind for all students, both domestic and international. We're also need-based, but we will talk about financial aid in more detail at the end of the presentation. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that 20% of our students are first-generation college students, so they're the first person in their families to go to college. So, again, diversity in so many different ways. Someone is asking us if there is a female soccer team, and the answer is yes. We have a varsity men's soccer team and a varsity women's soccer team. Both teams actually made it to the national tournament. The selection show for the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, was on Monday, and both the men's soccer team and the women's soccer team were selected to participate in the national tournament at the Division III level. So this coming weekend, both teams are going to be competing against the best teams in the country to, start the road to the national championship, hopefully. So yeah, both teams are very good, as well as most of the teams at Amherst. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, just going back to diversity, I think that one of my personal experience here is that not only do we have all these diverse people here, but all these people from all different backgrounds really are interacting. And I think part of the reason for that is that we have only just one single orientation where all students come the week before college starts their first year here. And so you really, during that week, you get to know everyone around. Everyone's saying hi to everyone and trying to meet as many people as possible. And then from that, we get, you get to know a lot of different people. You get to support a lot of different people later on when they participate in the various clubs here. You watch an a cappella show and get to know your friends' talents there, or you go to a friend's soccer game, sports game, and so on. So I know personally, it's not just that the international students are all eating together all the time, or students from certain backgrounds are eating together. I've really gotten to get to know everyone and mix with people of all sorts of backgrounds.
Yeah, and to me, the best thing about coming to a place like Amherst is that beyond what you can learn in the classroom, beyond what the professor can teach you, you're learning from people who have a very different way of doing things, who have different habits, who study differently, who sleep differently, who eat differently, and that's where you actually learn the most, and all those experiences are making you the best version of yourself that you can become. At the end of the day, you're only going to spend, 3-4 hours a day in the classroom, and the rest of the time you're going to spend it outside of the classroom with your friends, with your crew team, with your a cappella group, with your debate team, and you're going to be spending most of your time with your friends, and you're also in your dorm. You're going to be living with your friends. So you want to be at a place or Amherst is going to offer you a place with a lot of smart, hardworking people, and it's going to be a very stimulating environment so that you can, get better as a person on a daily basis. So something that's very unique to Amherst, I like to put it this way. So there are a lot of small liberal arts colleges in the U.S., especially in the Northeast. But I think there are 3 things that make Amherst very, very special, or more than 3 things, but I think these 3 things can really illustrate how Amherst is different. One of them is the open curriculum, another one is the 5-college consortium, and the third one is our financial aid package and the diversity that it allows us to get on campus. So let's talk about the open curriculum. Melissa, what's the open curriculum?
So the open curriculum really means that you come to Amherst and you can really choose basically any course that you want. There are no distribution requirements that you have to fulfill in your time here, and there's no core curriculum of courses that you absolutely have to take. So you're browsing through that course catalog. We have about, I think, 800 courses each year offered, and you can really choose any course that you will want to take as long as you've met the prerequisites for that class.
Yeah, so the open curriculum is the opposite of a core curriculum. So I'm sure the way it is for many of you in high school is, you have to take math and science and humanities and languages. And that's actually the way it is in many colleges as well. They're going to make you take a quantitative course, a humanities course, a language. Amherst is actually the complete opposite from that. You choose every single course that you take when you come here. So, that gives you a lot of freedom and a lot of flexibility to really shape your own education and to take ownership for what you're learning during your 4 years here. That doesn't mean that you can take or that you can do whatever you want for 4 years. We do have 3 requirements that you need to fulfill in order to graduate from Amherst. The first one is that you have to complete a first-year seminar. So the first-year seminar, it's a course that is geared towards helping you make the transition between high school and college. Okay, so it's going to be limited to 15 students, and all of them are going to be first years. It's going to be writing intensive, reading intensive, and speaking intensive, so that you can get used to the pace of what Amherst is going to be like for 4 years. And the professors who teach these courses actually choose to teach them. The school is not forcing any professor to teach a first year seminar. They teach the first year seminar because they want to help the younger students get used to college and make that transition. So I'll let Melissa speak about her personal experience with first year seminars.
My first year seminar was called Secrets and Lies. It was actually taught by the professor who was at the time the head of the department that I'm now majoring in, Law, Jurisprudence, and Social Thought. And we were 15 students around a round table early morning, so our professor actually brought us bagels and muffins and cider for every class for breakfast. And we would just talk about, what is a secret and what is a lie in relation to not just law, but politics, philosophy, sociology. So it was really interdisciplinary in that sense. And that was definitely the class that first piqued my interest in my major, LJST. And that was also a class that, in that class, our professor invited us to colloquiums on law and things like that. And so those are things that I still go to today because I got the invitation as a first year student.
Yeah, so my first year seminar when I was a student was called Leadership, Citizens, and Democracy, and it was with a political science professor. And so we basically read a lot of speeches and watched some speeches also on YouTube. So from a lot of leaders throughout history. The main focus was the 20th century, so we saw speeches from a lot of American presidents, some European presidents. We read a lot of what happened during World War I and II and the Vietnam War. So, and how leaders basically shape their speech and shape what they say, and how citizens perceive what the leaders are saying. So it was a lot of with a main focus on democracy as well, as opposed to dictatorships. And so yeah, it really opened my eyes to political science in general, and it played a big role in me choosing to do the political science course. So that's a first year seminar, and that's a first requirement that you have to fulfill. The second requirement is that you complete 32 courses over the course of 4 years. So you have 8 semesters, and you take 4 courses per semester, and that adds up to 32 courses. It's very straightforward. Some students normally ask if you can take more than 4 courses in one semester, and the answer is yes. You can take 5 courses if you want to, but you have to be in good academic standing. You have to meet with the dean of students and basically justify why you want to take 5 courses instead of 4. Because to be honest, 4 courses is more than enough. I have friends who took 5 courses in one semester and they ended up regretting it. But other people take 5 courses and they do have a good experience. But at the end of the day, you do have to complete 32 courses. You can potentially complete 33 or 34 if you want to, but not fewer than 32 courses. The only exception, we do have one exception, and that's what we call the first year drop. So if during your first year you're taking a course and it's not going very well, maybe it's harder than you anticipated, you have the option of using the first year drop. So you can drop that course without any penalties. And if that's the case, you will eventually graduate with 31 courses instead of 32. Other than that, you will have to complete 32 courses. The other portion of this is that when you come to Amherst, you have to spend 4 years here. You cannot graduate in 3 years or 3.5 years, even if you have AP credit or IB credit. The way that works is, let's say you took AP Economics and you did really well. You will be able to place out of Introduction to Economics when you come to Amherst, but you will still have to complete 32 courses during your time here. So, and the third requirement that we have is that you have to complete a major. And completing a major is also very straightforward at Amherst, because on average, majors have normally like 10 courses. So let's say you do 10 courses for environmental studies as a major. Then you have your first year seminar, that's 11. And then you still have 21 courses to do whatever you want, literally whatever you want. So that also makes it very easy for you to double major. A lot of students will take 10 courses in political science and 10 courses in environmental studies, then their freshman seminar, and that's 21 courses, and they still have 11 courses to take to explore other majors and other disciplines. So As long as you have those three requirements, first year seminar, 32 courses in 4 years, and a major, you're all set, and you can get your Amherst diploma. So let's talk about some of the benefits of the open curriculum.
Yeah, so we covered one of them, being able to double major. If you know exactly what you want to do, as soon as you come here, you can jump straight into it. And on the other side, you can also, if you don't know at all what you want to do, explore all sorts of different things. And I feel like I've kind of gotten the best of both worlds there, in the sense that, so I'm an LJST major, but I'm also far enough along in economics that I could finish it if I want to. And yet I chose not to, because I really do want to explore all these different courses. So by the time I have graduated, I think I'll have taken classes in about 18 different departments here on campus.
Yeah, and to me, the best thing about the open curriculum is the ability to choose every single course that you take. You know, there's something to be said about making a choice. When you choose to do something, there's a higher level of engagement, a higher level of motivation that you have, because no one is forcing you to do it. You know, you could have chosen any other courses. You know, we have, as Melissa said before, more than 800 courses offered every semester. And here you only get the chance to take 32 during 4 years. So when you choose your courses, it's like your little, your treasure. You really treasure those courses that you take, and you really want to make the most of each of them. So I think that's the best thing about the open curriculum, the fact that you choose your courses, and not only did you do that, but everyone else in your classroom also chose to be there. So everyone is a little more engaged and motivated.
To better inform that choosing decision, we do have a shopping period, and during the first week of each semester, which I guess we formally call add drop, where basically you can sit in on any class that you think that you might be interested in, maybe get to see what the professor's teaching style is like, get to see the syllabus and all the reading requirements in that class. And then based on all those things, you can decide whether or not that class is truly for you, and you can add or drop any course during that week.
Absolutely. We got a question here. Someone is asking, how long did it take you to find your major? So you have until the end of your sophomore year to declare your major formally. So you actually get 2 years, 2 full years to explore different things and then choose a major. In my experience, it took me, I would say by the end of my freshman year, by the end of my first year, I already knew that I wanted to do political science. But at the time, I thought that I was going to do philosophy and double major in philosophy and political science. I took a philosophy course the following semester and decided that that was not really for me. And then I was taking French all along. And then I went to study abroad in France during my junior spring. And all the courses that I took in France were in French. So they actually counted, or they could count towards my French major. So I said, why not complete the French major if I only have one more course to complete during my senior year? So I did the French major. And then my interdisciplinary major, I basically decided it at the end of my junior year as well, when I wrote a proposal to write a thesis, an interdisciplinary thesis, and it got accepted. So, it kind of like fell into place, and I was able to do the third major. But, it was kind of like along the way. I didn't come to Amherst thinking that I was gonna double major, not even triple major, but it kind of happened. And I was still able to take courses in many other disciplines, like philosophy and economics and math and art history and theater and European studies, and I even took a course in the 5 colleges. So, the open curriculum and the liberal arts really offer you a lot of different opportunities. So, is it easy to change majors?
Yeah, I would say so. You do have to have something declared by the end of sophomore year, but aside from that, even if during your junior year, senior year, you realize that you're on track for another major, you can add that major. If you're, as long as you're on track for a major, you can even drop your old major.
Yeah, so, if, as you could see from my experience, you kind of like figure things out along the way. It's not that you make a decision and that's for sure what you're going to do. If things change, if your interests change, you can definitely change that major. It's not going to be something binding from the start. Someone is asking, what are the most comprehensive majors? And to be honest, there are some majors that are a little more popular than others. And I think the reason for that is that, there are majors that have been around for many years, English and economics and biology. Those are traditional disciplines that have been around basically since Amherst was founded almost 200 years ago. There are some newer majors like neuroscience or computer science or architectural studies that are going to be a little less popular. But I think those departments are growing, especially within the last few years. They have been growing a lot. So every major is very good because the professors who teach in those departments are extremely good and extremely qualified. But again, you will have some majors that are a little more popular than others.
I think a really great thing also here at Amherst, we have a lot of cross-listed courses, so classes that are listed in multiple departments and professors who might teach in multiple departments. So I think there really is an emphasis on interdisciplinary things here on campus. I've taken, for example, a class called Law and Economics, which was taught by an economics professor, but it was looking kind of at economic analysis of the law, and so I actually got LJST credit for that class.
So let's go back to the slides. Let's go back to the presentation. And now we can talk about the 5-college consortium, which, as I mentioned before, I think is one of the great benefits that we get for being, at Amherst College. So the way it works is the 5-college consortium is basically an alliance of 5 different institutions that work together to offer the students in the area the best opportunities, both in terms of academics and also in terms of social life. So the schools are Amherst College, as we said before, small, liberal arts, 1,800 students. And we share the town of Amherst. So if you see on that little map, we share the town of Amherst with the University of Massachusetts, which is a completely different world. It's a big, big university. They have like 22,000 undergraduate students and about 6,000 to 7,000 graduate students. So almost 30,000 students between the two schools, between Amherst and UMass. And we are very close to them. We share the same town. So if you walk from where we are right now to UMass, it may take you 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So very close. On the opposite direction, you have Hampshire College, which is only like 10 minutes away if you drive. And they are also a liberal arts institution. It's a little smaller than Amherst. They have 1,500 students. And they have great majors and great programs in sustainability, ecology, the performing arts, especially theater, and also film and media studies, along with many other majors that they have.
Smith and Mount Holyoke College are also part of the 5-college consortium. They are both women's colleges, so all women's schools. Smith is the largest, actually, in the country of women's colleges. They're at about 2,500 students, and Mount Holyoke, slightly smaller than that, is the oldest women's college in the country. And they're both a little bit further away. I think Smith is about 7 miles, Mount Holyoke about 9 miles away, but both very accessible by car or the public bus system that we have here that'll take you to any of the colleges.
So yeah, our public bus system, we call it the PVTA, and it's actually free. So you can just hop on the bus and go to UMass or go to Northampton and go to Smith, and it's very, very easy to get around the area. You can also go to the mall. That's about 5-10 minutes away from Amherst. And so yeah, it's really, really easy to get around, whether it is because you're taking a course with at one of the other schools or you're participating in a club or a group. So very, very easy to get around the area. Let's see. So there are two main benefits of being part of the 5-college consortium. We have the academic benefit and also the social benefit. In terms of academics, we mentioned before that Amherst offers about 800 courses every semester, but the 5-college consortium offers about 6,000 courses across all the schools. So you can actually take up to 2 classes every semester at any of the other schools. So if you're an Amherst student, you can, and your sophomore spring, you want to take a course at Smith, a course at UMass, and then another 2 courses at Amherst. That's something you can totally do. So it really gives you the opportunity to see how other institutions do, their courses and their curriculum. And it really opens your eyes to a lot of different opportunities that you may not find at Amherst. The only requirement is that the courses that you take in the 5-college have to be also liberal arts courses, so you will not be able to take an engineering course at any of the other schools, or something that's pre-professional. It's going to have to be in the liberal arts.
That being said, I think that taking courses in computer science and math will get you a really great groundwork for going into engineering if that's something you're interested in. I actually have a 5 college student who happens to be my lab partner in a computer systems class that I'm taking right now, and she chose to come to Amherst to take computer systems because at Amherst our computer science course here offers a lab component where you actually get to work with building circuits and things like that. So it's not really engineering, but I think we have a really great great classes that offer us kind of a similar experience.
Yeah, so Amherst doesn't have any minors. We have only majors, and so a lot of people do double major. But with the 5 college consortium, we have what we call certificates. So there are different certificates that you can do, and they are similar to a minor. It's just we call them differently. So you can do the international relations certificate, you can do the logic certificate, you can do the Latin American studies certificate, and there are about 8 to 10 certificates that you can do, and taking advantage of the courses in the 5 colleges. Someone is asking if we offer performing arts, like classical ballet, and the answer is we have a theater and dance major. So some students in that major focus on theater and directing and acting, but other students focus on dance, and other students focus on costume design. So there are a lot of things that you can do with the performing arts. Ballet is certainly one of them. You can do ballet as an extracurricular activity as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I'm actually taking a ballet class
Oh,
here
wow.
at Amherst this semester, and theater and dance is actually one of those departments where I find that a lot of students are going to the 5 colleges a lot for classes, because one semester ballet is taught at Amherst, and so right now in my ballet class I have students coming from UMass, from Smith. Smith actually has a MFA program in the performing arts, so they have sometimes graduate students even coming to our ballet class. But then another semester that ballet class may have moved to Mount Holyoke, and now the professor's teaching there for the semester, and so I could choose to go to Mount Holyoke and take ballet there then.
Yeah, so someone was asking, should we consider Amherst for engineering? And as we said before, we don't have engineering as an undergraduate major at Amherst. So if that's what you want to do, if you want to do engineering at the undergraduate level, Amherst may not be the place for you because we don't offer engineering. Having said that, we do offer math and the sciences, physics and chemistry and biophysics and biochemistry and biology, of course, and neuroscience. So if you can certainly take social or experimental sciences during your time at Amherst, and eventually go to graduate school and engineering school if that's what you want to do. So coming to Amherst is not really going to prevent you from pursuing the dream or the goals that you have if you want to be an engineer. So someone is asking, how realistic is it to take classes at the other colleges? So as we're saying, you can take up to 2 courses every semester at any of the other schools. Only about 50% of students at Amherst College take advantage of that opportunity. So 50% of the students at Amherst stay at Amherst for 4 years and they don't take any courses in the 5 colleges. But the other 50% will take up to one course at least in the 5 colleges. In my experience as a student, I took 1 course in the 5 colleges. I took financial accounting at UMass during my senior spring, so my very last semester of college, and I had a great experience. It was a very different environment. I took the course in a big lecture hall with 500 people, which was larger than my graduating class from Amherst, which had 450. But then it was broken down, the lecture was broken down into smaller discussion groups of like 20, 25 people. So I was really, really happy that I took advantage of that opportunity. I made some friends from UMass. I met the professor, and it was just really important for me to see how other institutions operate, how they do things, and it really made me appreciate Amherst even more, just to see how lucky we are with all the opportunities and all the advice and all the guidance and support that we get at a small liberal arts institution. In terms of social life, the 5 college consortium actually offers so many opportunities to the students in the area. You may be surprised by this, but We are actually the second largest booking venue in New England, and I don't mean Amherst College, I mean the Pioneer Valley and the Five College Consortium. The largest booking venue is Boston, and then we are after Boston, the Pioneer Valley. And the reason for that is the fact that we have almost 35,000 students in the area, and in terms of concerts and performances and plays and all those things, there is a market for that. Students want to participate. Students want to do things outside of the academic setting or the clubs or the extracurricular activities that you get here only. So most of the activities happening in the five colleges are free and open to anyone in the schools, students and faculty and staff. So just to give you a few examples, my freshman year here, 4 years ago, the Cirque du Soleil came to UMass, and just around the corner. Then during my time here, Avicii and Jay-Z went to UMass to perform in big concerts. We had Macklemore in our spring concert at Amherst College this past year, and Ludacris the year before. In terms of speakers, we had Dan Brown, the guy who wrote The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, who is also an Amherst alum. He came about a month and a half ago to Amherst College to speak. And again, that event was free and open to anyone in the five colleges. Same with Rachel Maddow, who came in April to Amherst College, or Anderson Cooper, who came to Smith in the fall of last year. So a lot of opportunities that you should definitely take advantage of if you end up coming to the five college area. And again, it's really easy to get around if you want to go to a concert, if you want to go to a party at one of the other schools. The PVTA, the bus system, makes it very, very easy to get around. So honestly, how realistic is it? I think it is pretty realistic if you are someone who is willing to take initiative and to step outside of your comfort zone. You should definitely take advantage of all these opportunities. Okay, so someone is asking, I'm going to Ecuador next year for foreign exchange. I don't think that's a question.
You can click for more.
Oh yeah. Program to learn Spanish. Can I get a scholarship for that? So if you come to Amherst, there are many study abroad opportunities. We have 250 plus programs that have already been approved by Amherst. So if you apply to one of those programs, being an Amherst student, you can definitely go there. And the great thing is that financial aid actually carries with you when you go to study abroad. So if you're getting, let's say, 50% of financial aid to come to Amherst, and then you go study abroad, that 50% carries with you, and Amherst will cover that. So it's a great choice that you have. So let's talk about admissions a little bit, and just the criteria that we use in the admission office to select Amherst students. So you will need to take, if you are coming from another country and there's a national exam that they take, or that you have to take, you will have to submit the results of those exams. You will have to submit your grades, so your transcript from your high school, or if you went to different high schools from the different high schools where you went in the last 4 years. In terms of standardized tests, we give you two options. You can take the ACT, or you can take the SAT with 2 SAT subject tests. Okay, so you can take one or the other. You can submit both if you took both, but we certainly don't require that you do that. And we will also super score your scores. So if you took the SAT or the ACT more than once, we will super score, which means we will take the highest score that you got in each of the components. You're going to have to write a personal statement that you will find in the Common application. So Amherst uses the Common app as part of our admission process. And there's going to be a personal statement that you have to write for that. And then we give you the opportunity to write another essay with different topics that we give you, or you can actually submit a graded paper. That's a new alternative that we're offering this year. So if you're really proud of a paper that you wrote in high school, you can submit that as part of your application as a substitute for the other essay that you would have to write. You are going to need 2 letters of recommendation from teachers in high school, and then there's another letter coming from your guidance counselor or your college counselor in high school. And then everything else is extracurricular activities. So if you do, if you have any personal achievements, awards, or talents, or skills, anything that you think make you a special candidate, you definitely want to let us know. And you'll find all that information in the Common App when you go through the application process. If you have any supplemental materials like music samples or art portfolios, definitely include that as well. The Common Application will give you all the guidelines on how to do that. So why do Amherst not accept creative writing art? So we want to see academic writing as part of the application, because that's what's going to be your main focus during your application, or during your time at Amherst, excuse me. So you can actually submit creative writing art as a supplement, but again, that will be considered a supplement. It's going to be considered in addition to everything else that you do in your application. Okay, so we do want to see your essays being more academic oriented as opposed to creative oriented. So do many students take internships in their junior year?
I think a lot of students take internships throughout their time here, especially in the summers. But yeah, junior year, I know a lot of my friends, including myself, we interned. Specifically, I was at a financial services firm in New York, and in a lot of cases, those internships in your junior year can lead to full-time offers. So for me, I do know where I'm going to be next year because of that internship, and that's really exciting to enter senior year knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone has a question. Next year, I'm going to be 16. When I graduate, am I too young to apply? So we don't have a limit on age that you can apply. I think that if you're 16, but when you come to college, your freshman year, you're definitely gonna be in the younger side of the spectrum. Most people will be 18 years old. Some people will be 17. Some people will be 19. 16 is definitely in the younger end. So it's a personal decision. You want to make sure that you're mature enough by the time you come to college. I would say that, this is my personal opinion, I would say that it would be better to come when you're 17 or 18 years old as opposed to being 16. But again, it's a personal choice. If you think you're mature enough socially and academically to take on all the the work that you're going to have to do at Amherst College, why not? It's definitely a personal decision. All right, let's move on. So let's talk about financial aid. So college, as you know, is very expensive, and a lot of people worry that it may not be affordable. But Amherst College is definitely very affordable. And as I told you before, our financial aid package is one of the things that really makes us unique and special as opposed to, or compared to, other institutions. So all of our financial aid is need-based. What does that mean? What that means is that when you apply to Amherst, you will submit your financial aid forms to our financial aid office, and they will determine your expected family contribution. So they will determine how much your family can pay for the school. Once we determine that, or once the financial aid office determines that, we will expect that you will contribute, that you will pay that amount to attend Amherst. But everything else, if you can only cover, let's say, 20% of the cost of Amherst, you will have to pay 20%, but the other 80% is going to be covered by Amherst. And so that's our financial aid policy. We only give you financial aid if you need financial aid. Okay, so if you're someone who can pay 100% of Amherst, we will expect that you will pay 100% of Amherst, because we don't give any merit scholarships. So you will be accepted to Amherst based on your merit and qualifications, but everything that comes as financial aid is going to be need-based and not merit-based. Okay, so that's an important distinction. We don't have any athletic scholarships or merit scholarships whatsoever. The other portion is that we are need blind, which means that when you apply to Amherst, I, as an admission officer, don't really have access to your financial aid information until after I make my decision on whether or not I want to accept you. Okay, so some institutions, they have to accept a certain number of students that will pay 100% of tuition. At Amherst, we don't have to worry about that. We want to make sure that we get the most qualified students, both domestically and internationally. no matter how much they can pay or no matter whether or not they can pay. We want to make Amherst affordable to anyone who wants to come to Amherst. Okay, so we are need blind and need based both for American students as well as international students, and that makes us very unique. So if you look at the PowerPoint presentation, you can see what's included in the cost of attendance to Amherst, and there's a comprehensive fee which is roughly $55,000. Then you have other student fees like for activities and programs. That's 750 estimate. Insurance, when you come to, if you live in Massachusetts, you are required to have insurance, and Amherst will make sure that you have insurance. So that's roughly $1,500. Books and supplies is an estimate of $1,000. Personal expenses, an estimate of $1,800. Travel, it depends on where you're coming from. If you're coming from Massachusetts, it's going to be as little as $50 for gas. If you're coming from very far away, from another country, it may take up to $2,500. So overall, the cost of attendance is roughly $60,000 to $63,000. So it's very, very expensive. But again, Amherst will make it affordable, whether or not you can pay for the school. The last portion of our financial aid policy is that we don't have any loans. So when you apply to Amherst and you get a financial aid package, that financial aid package is not going to have any loans within it. It's all going to be grant and scholarship money that once you get it, you don't have to pay it back to the school. And that's also very, very unique because other institutions will package loans within your financial aid package, and eventually you're going to have to pay those back. At Amherst, all the money that you get is your money. You don't have to worry about paying that back. So yeah, again, if you look at the at the PowerPoint presentation, you can see what need-based financial aid looks like. So, a typical need-based aid award normally includes work study, loans, and grants. Again, that's at another institutions. At Amherst, we don't have any loans, as you can see in the PowerPoint presentation. And again, that makes us very, very unique. So, I can see that some of you have been asking questions. So now we're gonna proceed to answer those questions. We only have about 5 more minutes. And I know Melissa has to go pretty soon.
Yeah, I can stay for 5 minutes.
Okay, so we'll respond to all these questions quickly in the next 5 minutes. Okay, so someone from Albany is asking, I would like to know how can I do to apply for full scholarship for an international student. So as I mentioned before, when you apply to Amherst, you'll have to fill out your application, and you'll also have to fill out your financial aid forms. So once you submit those financial aid forms to our financial aid office, they are going to be the ones who determine how much financial aid you will need. So that's going to be taken care of itself once you submit those forms. You don't have to apply separately to a scholarship because, as I said, we don't have any merit scholarships or athletic scholarships. Everything is going to be financial aid that's coming from our office. So once you submit those forms, we will take care of the rest. So do you have any traditions or customs that you think make Amherst unique?
Well, my favorite weekend on campus is probably homecoming, because we have our football games usually against Williams, and some of you might know Williams is kind of our big rival college, and I think our rivalry with Williams really does create a lot of school spirit here. But all the alumni will come back for homecoming. We'll start it off with a huge bonfire on our field. And it's just a really great weekend full of festivities and of course, the football game.
Yeah, definitely my favorite as well, homecoming. And, the big rivalry with Williams. It's a friendly rivalry, but it's nice to have it. Other schools don't even have a rivalry. So how close is this is another question. How close is the relationship between professors and students? So as we mentioned before, Amherst is a very small community. And I think the relationships are very strong. But again, they're not going to happen if you don't try, go to office hours and try to get to know your professors. But if you do, if you take action, if you take initiative, if you're proactive, you can really build meaningful relationships. There's one of my favorite programs that Amherst has. It's called Typo, or Take Your Professor Out. And the idea is that if you're taking a course in a particular semester, you can get together with 2 or 3 or 4 students in the class and go to the professor and basically ask them out for dinner. You can invite the professor out to dinner. So you take them to a restaurant in town and you have a great meal and a great time, and Amherst will actually pay for that meal. So you get to know the professor outside of the more formal setting of the classroom or their office. You get to know them in a very social, personal setting. So I think that's really cool. I definitely took advantage of that during my time as a student. What is the average SAT and GPA score for accepted students? So that question is, there's no one answer for that really. First of all, it varies year to year. So you can look at the average. You can look at our website and find the average from last year's applicants or accepted applicants. But that's going to change so much depending on where you're applying from. If you're an international student and you didn't grow up speaking English, let's say, maybe your SAT scores in critical reading are going to be a little lower than applicants who are coming from the U.S., from Massachusetts or New York, who went to school in English their whole lives and whose first language is English. So again, it depends on where, who you are, where you're from, the opportunities that you've had in high school. So we are looking at each student at, in their own individual context. We want to make sure that within your context, you are doing as well as anyone can do. But we're not going to be comparing someone from Venezuela with someone from Boston, Massachusetts. It's just very, very different environments, very different ways of doing education. So we are very familiar, luckily, with different regions in the U.S. and different regions around the world. So we will know what the most demanding course you could have taken is, and hopefully you're doing that and doing well. So someone is saying, I think Amherst students are really nice and caring. What kind of students is Amherst College looking for exactly? So since we offer liberal arts and the open curriculum, it's really broad, the number of students that we get here, and they're people from different backgrounds and different interests. So what we are looking for, I think something that's common for everyone is very smart and hardworking, and those are 2 things that are going to be really, really important if you come to Amherst, because it's going to be very demanding. It's going to be a rigorous academic environment, a lot of people with many different talents and passions. So if you're hardworking and you're smart and you can show that in your application, that's definitely something we're looking for. But beyond that, we do want to have a diverse campus with people who like different things and do different things. Let's see, another question here. Are there many opportunities for exchange to other institutions?
Yeah, so your study abroad program, about 50% of students here will take advantage of that in their junior year of college, and you can go abroad for 1 semester or 2. Amherst, we have 2 of our own programs. We have one in Germany and one in Japan, but our study abroad office allows you to go to really any program that offers a great experience abroad for you.
Yeah, certainly. So last question, we are running out of time, so we have the last question. Someone is saying, hi, I'm from Mexico. Do you have any science and technologic department for studies of robotics? So we, as I said before, we have computer science, we have physics, and we have a lot of experimental sciences. So we do not have anything specific with robotics, or our labs don't have anything specific with robotics, but we have all the more theory-based disciplines like physics and chemistry that may give you the tools necessary to pursue graduate school later on in something very specific as robotics, if you want to do that. So the answer is no, if that's what you're looking for sure as an undergraduate student, but it will set you up to be prepared for that. Okay, so we actually have to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us. It was really a pleasure to share all these experiences with you. You can see my contact information on the PowerPoint presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email and I'll be happy to respond to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.